If you had told me 8 years ago that I'd be making money self-publishing simple books on Amazon, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Not because it sounds unrealistic, but because I thought publishing books meant long manuscripts, becoming an author, and competing with people who had spent years and years building up their writing skills. I assumed it was complicated, slow, something really only reserved for people with experience, confidence, and a clear idea of what they wanted to say. But what I discovered over time was actually something really different. You can publish books that are simple, useful, and genuinely helpful, and people buy them every single day because they serve a purpose in someone's life. They make something easier. They solve a small problem. They give someone something enjoyable to do. And over the past 8 years, I have self-published hundreds of books, all sorts of different books. Some made nothing, some made a few $100s, and some make thousands of dollars every single month consistently and predictably. And along the way, I learned some things that nobody really explains when you first hear about low content book publishing, things that changed how I approach this completely, things that made a difference between publishing random books and building something that actually grows over time. So in this video, I want to go through what took me 8 years to learn and share it with you in the next 15 minutes. Because once you do understand these ideas, this whole business starts to feel more clear, more realistic, and far more achievable. Now, if you are new here, I'm Caroline. I am a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon for over 7 years. And on this channel, I show you how to do the same. One of the first things that I learned about low content publishing is that it's not really about books. It's about creating useful products. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts that changed everything for me. And it is something that I wish I had understood earlier. When most people think about publishing books, they usually imagine novels, memoirs, or nonfiction books that need long writing sessions, intense editing, and a lot of creative energy. They imagine sitting down and writing chapters, trying to come up with ideas, and just really feeling unsure whether anyone will even read what they've written. But low and medium content books are totally different. They're things like activity books, puzzle books, coloring books, guided prompt journals, planners, educational workbooks, learning books for kids, or logbooks, just to name a few of the different kinds. Here are some actual real-life examples of these kinds of books. This is a guided prompt journal, which are very, very simple books to make. It has pages that contain really simple prompts and then just some space for the user to fill the book out. Now, this book in particular sells over 1,500 books each month, which means the royalties are estimated to be around $10,000 per month. And we're talking about royalties here, not sales. And royalties are what the self-publisher actually receives in their bank account from Amazon at the end of the month. This one here is an activity book for kids, which contains really simple mazes. Kids' books are one of the most simple because they need books that are uncluttered and uncomplicated. And they're actually pretty fun to make too. This one is selling over 3,000 books each month, which means it makes royalties of around about $20,000 each month. This book is an educational workbook for kids, which teaches them sight words. Sight words are very simple, everyday, highly used words, and they're usually the first words that kids learn to read, and this book helps them do that. It sells over 2,500 books each month, and it's making around $10,000 per month in royalties. And then lastly, we have this adult word search book. Puzzle books for adults are a huge market on Amazon, and these books are actually surprisingly easy to make when you have the right tools to help you. This one in particular is one of the most popular word search puzzle books on Amazon. It sells over 2,000 books each month, and the royalties that it makes is around $3,500 each month. And one thing I do want to mention is that these few books I've just shown you are all self-published by independent publishers, just like you and me. They are not created and being sold by some big brand or some big publisher. And what's also great about all these books is that they're practical, helpful products that people are actively looking for. Parents search for activity books to help keep their kids entertained. Teachers are searching for educational workbooks to support learning. Adults are searching for puzzle books to help relax and unwind. People are searching for journals to help them reflect, organize their thoughts, or work towards their goals. And these are all everyday needs. And because of that, these types of books sell consistently. They always have, and they always will. And what makes it even more powerful is that Amazon already has the traffic. They already have the customers. This is something that actually took me a really long time to fully appreciate. Amazon is not just another website. It is the largest bookstore in the world where millions of people search for books there every single day. You're not trying to convince people to visit your website. You're not trying to build an audience or a customer base from scratch. You are placing books in front of people who are already searching for something to buy. That changes everything, because when you publish a book on Amazon, you're stepping into an existing marketplace that already has demand. You're not trying to create demand from scratch. You're participating in something that already exists. Because I know a lot of people get caught up in the fact that Amazon charges you fees for selling books on their platform. They charge you printing costs. People get upset that they take a cut of the sales, but you have to think about what you're getting access to in return, those millions upon millions of customers who are on their website searching every single day for products to buy. And once I started thinking about this differently, I stopped worrying about things like fees and printing costs, and I stopped focusing on things like having to write or design books, and I started focusing on just creating useful products. This made the entire process feel so much more approachable, more practical, and so much less intimidating. One thing that did help me grow faster was developing skills along the way, because the more you learn, the easier this becomes. And this is actually something I do briefly want to talk about, because learning new skills is probably one of the most valuable things that you can do when building a self-publishing business. This part of the video is sponsored by Skillshare, which is an online learning platform with thousands of classes designed to help you build practical skills. Lots of these skills directly apply to self-publishing, things like graphic design, Canva tutorials, productivity, branding, and creative workflows all help you to create better books and work more efficiently. When I first started, I spent a long time figuring these things out through trial and error, but learning from people who already understand those kinds of skills shortens the process significantly. Skillshare offers short, focused classes, which make it so much easier to learn something new, even if you only have a small amount of time. And the classes are taught by amazing, world-class creatives like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and successful entrepreneurs, so that you can learn directly from real, super talented and successful creatives. And you might already know that I publish my own children's picture books and coloring books, and I'm trying to learn even more to be able to illustrate my own books if I want to help me do that. I've been taking a class called Intro to Procreate Illustrating on the iPad, run by Brooke Glaser, and now I'm able to create illustrations for all my books rather than paying someone to do it for me or having to outsource the images from stock image websites, which we all know can get very, very pricey. If you are building a self-publishing business, developing these kinds of skills will help you move forward more confidently and so much more efficiently. So whether you want to learn how to use Procreate to create coloring book images, or you want to learn social media marketing for your books, or you just want to learn how to use your time more productively, whatever it is, continuously improving and learning new skills when it comes to all facets of your self-publishing business will set you apart from the rest, and Skillshare can help you with all of it. This month, the first 500 people to use the link down in the description box below or to scan the QR code on the screen now will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, where you can access the entire library of classes and try something new today. Now, another thing that took me a lot of time to understand is that simple books usually perform better than the complicated ones. And this is something that feels kind of counterintuitive at first, especially when you're starting out. There is a natural tendency to think that more effort equals more value, or more content means more value, that if you add more pages, more features, more details, and more complexity, your book becomes more appealing. But when you go and look at what sells, a lot of the best books are incredibly simple. Simple word search books, basic coloring books, straightforward guided prompt journals, clear and focused workbooks for kids learning to read. These books are not complicated, but they're useful, and that is what matters. When someone is searching for a book, they usually have a very specific need in mind. They want something that solves a small problem or provides a simple experience. They're not looking for something complex. They're looking for something helpful. And once I understood that, I stopped trying to make everything bigger and more elaborate. I started focusing on clarity, on usefulness, on creating something that somebody could understand immediately. That made my books better, and it also made the whole process just so much more enjoyable. Another lesson that really took me years to understand is the power of creating a series. And now that I know it, I talk about it all the time. When I first started self-publishing, I treated every book as a separate project. I'd create something, I'd upload it, and then I'd just move on to a completely different idea or a completely different type of book. I was always searching for the next opportunity, the next trend, the next big thing, the next niche, or the next concept that might work. But over time, I started noticing something. When one book began to sell, it just made sense to make more like it. And when I did that, something really interesting happened. My visibility increased, my books started supporting each other, and customers who bought one book quite often returned to buy another. Instead of relying on just one book to perform, I started building small collections, small series within specific niches. And this is where things started to change. Because once you have multiple books in a niche, you're no longer relying on just a single product for your income or to carry your business on. Your books start to work together, and over time, that creates momentum. This is one of the most important lessons that I've learned, and it's something that I now apply consistently. Another thing that made a huge difference for me was understanding that you learn far more by actually publishing than researching. When you start out, it is so easy to spend a lot of time trying to find the perfect niche. You want to be certain before you begin that it's the right one. You want so much reassurance that your idea is going to work. But the truth is, self-publishing teaches you things that research never can. Each book that you create gives you feedback. You learn what people respond to. You learn what titles attract attention. You learn what covers stand out. You learn what niches have really strong demand. These lessons build slowly, but they are so valuable. Over time, your instincts improve. You start to recognize patterns. You understand what works, not because somebody told you what works, but because you experienced it yourself. And that's something that took me a lot of years to appreciate. Another thing that I noticed along the way is that a lot of the successful books are not perfect. And it was surprisingly reassuring when I first realized that. When you search through, for example, activity book niches, you usually see books that are very simple, sometimes even really basic, yet they sell consistently. And that's because usefulness matters more than perfection. If a book can help someone, then they're happy with it. If it provides value, people appreciate that. And this removes a lot of pressure, especially when you are first starting out. You don't need to create something that's perfect. You need to create something that's helpful. And that is a much more approachable goal. Another important lesson that took me time to understand is that this business rewards consistency. If anybody says that self-publishing low content and medium content books doesn't work, or it's a scam, or it's oversaturated, or it no longer works, I can guarantee almost every time that they were not consistent, because each book that you publish becomes part of your catalog. And over time, that catalog grows. And as it grows, your chances of consistent income increase. This is one of the reasons that I find low content book publishing so appealing. You're building something gradually, book by book, idea by idea. There's something really satisfying about that. Or I think so anyway. And as you continue, you start to see results. Maybe one book starts selling, then another, then a few more over time. All these small wins add up. And this is usually the point when people start to see the real potential. Another thing that took me years to learn is that this is a long-term strategy. Each book that you publish builds on the last. Over time, you build a collection of books that work together, that support each other. And as that collection grows, your income becomes more stable. That is what makes low content book publishing so powerful. You're not relying on just one idea, one book, one product. You're building something gradually, and over time that becomes meaningful. And once you begin to see consistent results, your confidence grows because you're no longer wondering what works. You're improving something that already does. And that is what took me 8 years to learn. Low content publishing is simple, but it's really powerful. You create useful books, you publish consistently, and over time you build something that grows. And once you understand this business starts to feel so much easier. If you are interested in getting started, I have many other videos on this channel where I walk through different niches, ideas, and strategies to help you begin. So make sure to go check those out. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you are subscribed because I share new ideas every single week. And if you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too. So please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own low and medium content books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.